Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel tonight. We have a chilling story that might make you think twice before going camping. Deep in the woods, this story is called The Lost Camper, and if you're watching this late at night, turn off the lights, put on your headphones, and get ready because this story will follow you long after it ends. Now let's begin. It was supposed to be a simple weekend escape. Just 3 friends, a campfire, and the quiet of Black Pine Forest. Mark, Sophie, and Eli had been planning this trip for weeks. They wanted peace away from the noise of the city. They arrived just before sunset. The air smelled of pine and rain. The forest stretched endlessly around them, tall and dark as if it could swallow the light. They laughed as they set up their tent, unaware that something in those woods was already awake. Watching them from the shadows as night fell, the forest grew silent. The kind of silence that doesn't feel natural. Not peaceful, just heavy. Their small fire burned bright, but even that light felt weak compared to the darkness that surrounded them. After dinner, they sat by the fire, telling stories until the flames began to die down. The night was cold and the air thick with mist that crept between the trees. Sophie said she thought she saw something move near the tree line, but when Mark pointed his flashlight, there was nothing, just fog and shadows. They decided it was just nerves and went back to talking. It was around 1 in the morning when they heard it. Footsteps, slow, heavy, deliberate, coming from the woods circling the campsite. At first, Mark thought it was an animal until Eli whispered that the steps sounded like a person. Barefoot Mark stood up, shining the flashlight toward the sound, but saw only the mist shifting between the trees. Then came a voice, soft and trembling, like it was coming from everywhere and nowhere at once. "Can I sit by your fire?" Sophie froze, her eyes wide. The voice was too close, too human, but they couldn't see anyone. Mark called out, "Hello, who's there?" But there was no answer, only silence. And then again, "Can I sit by your fire?" This time, the voice was behind them. Mark spun around, but the flashlight flickered and went out when it turned back on. There was no one there. The fire sputtered as if the air itself was being pulled away. They decided to get inside the tent and wait for morning. None of them slept. They just listened to the faint crunch of footsteps moving around them until the sounds finally stopped just before dawn. When the first light crept through the trees, Mark unzipped the tent to look outside. Everything looked normal. The fire was out. The woods were still, but one tent. Flap was open. Eli's sleeping bag was empty. His backpack still inside his shoes gone. They searched the area calling his name, but there was no trace, just a single footprint in the mud, barefoot and larger than Eli's. They found his phone near the trees, still recording. Mark pressed play and a distorted voice filled the air. Eli's voice whispering, "She's standing out there. Don't come out, she's not." And then a scream before the recording cut off. They ran back to the car and drove straight to town. The police searched for days but found nothing. No sign of Eli, no sign of anyone. A week later, Sophie got a text from his number. It said, "Thanks for the fire." She blocked it immediately, but the next morning when she opened her phone, the last picture in her gallery wasn't one she took. It showed a figure standing just outside her bedroom window, dripping wet, holding a burned piece of firewood. She moved out of town a month later. Mark never went camping again. Sometimes late at night, he swears he hears that same voice outside his apartment window whispering, "Can I sit by your fire?" The police never found out what happened to Eli, but people still report seeing strange lights moving between the trees at Black Pine Forest. And if you ever go camping there and you hear a voice asking to sit by your fire, don't answer, just get in your car and leave, because if you answer, she'll know your name and she'll follow you home. And that was the story of the Lost Camper, a chilling reminder that some places were never meant for us. If you enjoyed tonight's story, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell for more true horror tales every week. And remember, next time you're alone in the woods, listen carefully because something might be listening back. Thank you for watching and good night.